Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something truly transformative, a journey not just about money, but about a complete financial makeover.
That's right.
We're drawing insights from a highly influential book that has genuinely changed countless lives.
It really has.
Our mission, as always, is to unpack the most important nuggets of wisdom, not just dry facts, but, life-changing insights, and make them easy, entertaining, and most importantly, directly applicable to your daily life. We want to help you understand these lessons deeply, apply them effectively, and ultimately achieve true financial peace.
Yeah.
Get ready for some surprising facts, those aha moments, and engaging stories that will give you a real shortcut to being well-informed and empowered.
It's going to be an incredible deep dive because at its core, what we're exploring today isn't about some complex hidden investment secret or, financial jargon. It's actually about changing your life from the ground up, starting with your habits and your mindset.
Okay, let's unpack this core principle then, because it really sets the stage for everything else. We live in a world that often worships the complicated and the sophisticated, especially when it comes to finance.
Right.
If it sounds too simple, we often think it can't possibly be profound or effective, right? We're kind of conditioned to believe financial success requires some secret formula.
Exactly. There's this prevailing, almost arrogant notion that simple ideas are for the little people or aren't worth much.
All right.
But what's truly fascinating and quite counterintuitive to this idea is that if you look at the habits of truly wealthy individuals, those with net worths exceeding $20 million, they consistently keep things simple and clean.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. The financial industry, frankly, often complicates things just to justify its own existence or perhaps the cost of their, expensive education.
Sure.
So to be abundantly clear, this deep dive isn't about intricate estate planning or delving into deep, obscure investment theories. Our focus is on time-honored, straightforward truths about money that are genuinely capable of transforming your entire life.
And here's where it gets really interesting and perhaps a little counterintuitive. It's not primarily about the numbers.
No.
We're talking about a crucial foundational lesson from this material, that financial success is overwhelmingly about behavior, 80% to be precise, and only 20% about what's called head knowledge or financial literacy.
That's huge.
That's a huge distinction, putting the emphasis squarely on us.
It truly is. The proven plan we're going to discuss isn't successful because it reveals some new secret formula that's been hidden from everyone else.
Right.
It's successful because it recognizes that you have to change personally from the inside out.
Right.
As the author powerfully puts it, to change your money thing, you have to change. You have to change your life. When you commit to that personal transformation, you will find yourself getting out of debt, giving generously, and investing at rates you might not have thought possible.
Wow.
And the impact isn't just mathematical. You'll see transformed marriages and stronger relationships because a huge source of conflict and stress is removed from your life.
Now, when we talk about financial advice, there's often this expectation of needing a string of academic credentials. You assume the person giving advice has a wall of fancy degrees.
Sure, yeah.
But the author of this influential book seldom lists his formal academic background, despite holding a degree in finance and licenses in real estate, insurance, and investments. He has all the stupid letters to put after his name, as he says, but that's not what he emphasizes.
No. He believes his most significant qualification is having done stupid things with zeros on the end. He describes experiencing financial health firsthand, having achieved what he calls a PhD in DUMB, a doctorate in understanding money better through his own failures.
Right. That's memorable.
It is. This included losing everything, being sued, foreclosed on, and ultimately going bankrupt with a new baby and a toddler at home. That kind of experience gives you unique, hard-won credibility.
Absolutely.
He used the very principles he teaches to personally build wealth not once, but twice, demonstrating that the things we teach are not theory. They work.
Proof is in the pudding.
And the real proof is truly in the hundreds of thousands of stories of people across America being set free by this book. It really underscores the strong, simple advice. So don't take financial advice from broke people. Learn from those who have truly walked the path.
That deep personal experience, especially the journey from rock bottom to success, really resonates. And speaking of real-world experiences, these principles have also proven their resilience during significant economic storms that many of us have lived through, even if we felt overwhelmed at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Think back to the dot-com crash in the early 2000s, the fallout from 9/11, those high-profile corporate scandals like Enron,
Mm-hmm. Big ones.
and of course the Great Recession of 2008-09 with its 10% unemployment and record foreclosures.
Yeah, that was tough.
And who could forget the sharp, albeit brief, COVID-19 recession?
It's true. These weren't abstract concepts. These were real storms with real consequences for millions. But the good news is that we do recover from them. And for some, these events, though painful, become their personal Great Depression, emotionally speaking, that is.
Yeah.
They permanently change the way people handle money, much like the original Great Depression did for an entire generation.
Yeah.
It powerfully reinforces the pastor's saying, a man with an experience is not at the mercy of a man with an opinion.
That's powerful.
Hardship, when processed and learned from, can be an incredibly powerful teacher.
It's almost like the flying turkeys analogy, isn't it?
Huh, yeah.
As the author says, just because you see a turkey flying in a tornado doesn't mean turkeys can fly. What might seem to work when times are good, those wild theories about investing or borrowing won't survive a storm.
Exactly.
Your money habits, your foundational principles must work in good times and in bad, giving you a financial foundation that lasts.
Precisely. Warren Buffett captures this perfectly with his quote, "When the tide goes out, you can tell who is skinny dipping."
Classic Buffett.
Recessions, financial downturns, they have this uncanny ability to reveal who built their financial house on bad ideas. And we've seen countless examples of these bad ideas proven catastrophically wrong.
Like what?
Things like consistent overspending that was disguised as fine when the economy was booming, or using debt to invest in real estate or the stock market with the hope of a quick, leveraged return.
Mm-hmm.
Those strategies led to financial ruin when the market turned.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing get-rich-quick schemes, whether it's the lottery, volatile cryptocurrencies, or speculative NFTs, consistently brings pain to those who pursue them. And trying to hire someone else, like a debt settlement company, to fix your life, that rarely, if ever, works because it doesn't change your core behavior.
The bottom line is that living by the principles outlined in this book ensures you prosper regardless of the economic climate, precisely because they emphasize building on a solid foundation. Take Chris's story, for instance.
Great story.
He started his financial makeover a few years before the Great Recession hit. By the time he was laid off from a large corporation, he was completely debt-free, even his home, and had a $38,000 emergency fund tucked away.
Wow. Prepare.
When his boss, who was also a friend, had to deliver the news of his layoff, Chris's reaction wasn't stress or panic. It was simply, cool, how much is the severance?
Huh? That's confidence. He received over $70,000 in severance, which he immediately used as seed money to start his own business, something he'd always dreamed of doing but never felt he could.
Amazing.
He wasn't stressed. He saw pure opportunity because he was so thoroughly prepared. It wasn't long before his new business was making almost double his old salary. That's the true peace and freedom, the sheer opportunity that preparedness brings.
Yeah.
It's not just about surviving economic downturns. It's about thriving and having choices when life inevitably throws you a curveball. #Tag2. Unpacking the obstacles to financial peace.
That's an amazing illustration of the power of preparation. But before we dive into the proven plan, we have to confront the obstacles that often stand in our way. And the first, perhaps biggest obstacle to a total financial makeover is something surprisingly common. Denial.
Huge one.
It's really like physical fitness.
Yeah.
The absolute first step to getting into shape is genuinely realizing you need to change your ways. You have to take that brave step and look squarely in the mirror financially, no matter how uncomfortable it feels.
And that can be tough because being financially flabby or constantly living paycheck to paycheck is sadly still pretty average in our culture.
Right.
You might feel just fine because everyone else seems to be doing the same thing. But this book isn't about being average. It's about winning, about really having something truly substantial and secure.
Mm-hmm.
Take Mark and Kelly Reap. They started their marriage debt-free, a great beginning. But as their income grew, they gradually, almost imperceptibly, increased their standard of living.
The slow creep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They financed new cars, bought everything on credit, even got a home equity loan. Before they knew it, they were buried in debt. They had this dangerous illusion of affordability, thinking they could manage just one more payment.
It's the classic boiling frog syndrome, isn't it?
Perfect analogy.
As the legendary Zig Ziglar famously recounted, if you drop a frog into boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you put it in room temperature water and slowly turn up the heat, it won't sense the danger and will, unfortunately, boil to death.
It's a perfect and chilling analogy for how easily we can lose our health, our fitness, and critically, our wealth gradually, one day at a time, without noticing the danger until it's too late. The enemy of the best is rarely the worst.
Yeah.
More often than not, the insidious enemy of the best is simply just fine.
Just fine. That's dangerous.
That complacency, that feeling of just fine, keeps us from making the necessary, sometimes radical changes.
You see this financial denial play out in real life all the time. There's Sarma, or Sarah, who shared her story after hearing about the statistic that 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. She truly believed she was comfortably in the 30% who were fine.
Right.
She had, in her own words, financially struck a pose, and the pose was denial.
Sarah and her husband, John, had a combined income of about $75,000 a year, with what they considered normal debts. A mortgage, car payments, credit cards. They felt secure, even buying a new home with bigger payments.
Felt secure.
Until
Sarah's job, which contributed $45,000 of their income, was eliminated. Suddenly, that feeling of security vanished, replaced by a creeping terror. They were facing foreclosure and car repossession.
Wow.
The critical lesson here is that if life isn't smacking you around, if you're not facing a crisis, you're actually in greater danger of staying stuck. Apathy, that comfortable, just fine feeling, prevents the huge changes needed to get huge results.
That's counterintuitive, but makes sense.
We also heard from a caller who had a $23,000 debt problem that was deeply fueled by a gambling addiction. They openly admitted to repeated failures with budgeting because the addiction simply kept derailing all their efforts.
That's a profound point, that sometimes the financial issue is a symptom of a deeper behavioral challenge. Absolutely. That caller eventually found help through a program called Celebrate Recovery, and, in conjunction, started diligently following the baby steps, even moving in with their parents temporarily to accelerate debt freedom.
Had to address the root cause.
Exactly. This shows that financial makeovers often require confronting and overcoming deeply ingrained behaviors, not just crunching numbers or moving money around. Sarah and John also used what we call the language of denial.
What do you mean?
They thought they were creditworthy simply because banks approved loans, or they could afford something if they could afford the payment.
Ah, the payment trap.
That's the dangerous illusion talking, ignoring the underlying cost and risk.
That language of denial is so prevalent, isn't it? And it's because our culture has been fed some truly pervasive myths about debt. The most foundational myth we need to debunk is the belief that debt is a tool for prosperity.
The biggest lie.
We've heard it in academic settings, this idea of debt as a fulcrum and lever to lift what we couldn't otherwise, or the concept of using OPM, other people's money, to prosper.
But the reality, and this is crucial for your understanding, is that debt introduces enough risk to completely offset any perceived advantage. While some argue debt allows leverage for growth, what we consistently see is that the unpredictable nature of life, economic shifts, or even just our own human behavior makes that advantage evaporate, often leaving far more downside.
Risk kills the return.
Over time, that inherent risk will destroy any purported returns. You don't have to take our word for it. 75% of the Forbes 400 richest people in America say the best way to build wealth is to become and stay debt-free.
75%.
Yeah. Companies like Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby, and Intuitive Surgical Inc. operate completely debt-free. And historically, even giants like Sears, JCPenney, and Ford, which now profit immensely from consumer debt, were founded by individuals who actively hated debt. They thrived without it, proving it's possible.
We had an anonymous caller who shared how they bought into that very lie. They had $72,000 on a rental property and $35,000 in credit cards and other loans, plus a 4-bedroom house with a pool, all on a $40,000 teacher's salary.
Wow, that's stretched thin.
They genuinely thought it was a good investment. They felt sick and tired of always having more month than money. Their solution? Selling the property and downsizing, which led to them achieving debt freedom in just 2.5 years of focused intensity.
That takes guts, but look at the result. It's a stark example of the power of breaking free from the lie that debt is a tool.
Totally.
Another pervasive myth suggests that you're helping friends or relatives by loaning them money, or even worse, by co-signing a loan for them.
Oh, the family loan.
The truth, time and again, is that the relationship will be strained or destroyed. The Bible puts it starkly in Proverbs 22.7. The borrower is slave to the lender.
Hmm.
This fundamentally changes the spiritual dynamic of a relationship, turning a loved one into, effectively, a servant. We heard from Joan, who loaned a friend $50. It ruined their daily lunch conversations because the friend started avoiding her.
Just $50.
Yeah. Forgiveness of debt, making it a gift, can restore relationships. But it's better to avoid the dynamic altogether. Giving is fine, loaning is not.
It's an uncomfortable truth, but a vital one. And co-signing is even riskier.
Oh, much riskier. If a lender, who projects default likelihood with unbelievable accuracy, denied the loan in the first place, you're co-signing for trouble just looking for a place to happen.
Right, the bank knows something.
Exactly. The consequence, you often end up paying the loan and your credit gets damaged without you even knowing it because lenders won't contact you when payments are late. Proverbs 17.18 wisely says, it's unwise to guarantee someone else's loan.
So true.
Brian's email perfectly summarized this. He co-signed for a $5,000 car for his girlfriend, who then took off with the car, leaving him to choose between ruined credit or making payments on a car he couldn't find for a girl he didn't want to find.
Oh, no.
It's often broken hearts and broken wallets.
Then there are what we call predatory lending traps. These businesses claim to offer a quick solution, but they're actually designed to take advantage of people in desperate situations.
Awful stuff. We're talking about places like cash advance and payday loan shops, rent-to-own stores, title pawning, and those tote-the-night car lots.
Yeah, you see them everywhere.
The truth is, these are rip-off examples of predatory lending designed to take advantage of lower-income people.
Yeah.
They only benefit the owners of these companies, not the borrowers.
And the numbers are shocking. The average lending rates for these operations are nearly 400% interest. They can be higher than 600%.
600%? That's unbelievable. They're located in lower-income areas for a reason. Wealthier people simply won't play their game. A payday loan, for example, might have a $25 service charge on $200, which is an astronomical over 650% APR annually.
That's insane.
Mike's story is a classic example. He got caught in a web of payday loans, borrowing from one to pay another, facing criminal charges for post-dated checks. His only way out was to pop the balloon, stop paying, close accounts, and work out payment plans, often by taking extra jobs or selling possessions.
It's legalized loan sharking.
That's exactly what it is. Tote-the-note car lots are just as bad, with high interest rates, typically 18-38%, and weekly payments. Cars are often repeatedly repossessed and resold for massive profit, and rent-to-own. That's for the person ruled by the I want it now mentality.
Impulse buy heaven.
It costs 2-3 times as much as you would just buying whatever it is outright. We're talking $2,100 for a washer dryer that's worth $1,100 new or $500 used. It clearly illustrates that if that impulsive I want it now mindset rules your life, you will likely stay broke.
Another incredibly common marketing lie we encounter is the idea that 90 days same as cash equals using other people's money for free. This one is so pervasive, you see it everywhere.
Yeah, it sounds tempting, but the reality is 90 days is not the same as cash for 3 crucial reasons. First, you lose the opportunity for a significant discount that flashing actual cash can get you from a manager with sales quotas.
Oh, interesting point.
Second, these companies make an astounding $2.5 billion, according to 2021 data, from 38% interest that's backcharged to the date of purchase if you don't pay in full by the promotional period end.
Back-charged interest, that's the trap.
They profit handsomely from your failure to meet that deadline. Third, you're playing with snakes and you will get bitten. We heard from Marge, who was fraudulently charged a $174 insurance fee on a TV she paid off. She was back-charged interest on the entire amount, requiring a handwriting expert and an attorney to fight it.
What a nightmare. And to be clear, newer buy now, pay later BNPL options like Klarna and Afterpay are no better. They are just another short-term loan that breaks payments into 4, often appealing to that I want it now impulse.
Exactly. And the real dirty secret is how they boast to retailers. Afterpay states shoppers spend 40% more, Klarna boosts average order price by 41%, and Affirm claims a 60% increase in upgrades, bundling, and add-ons.
Wow, they know it makes you spend more.
These options are explicitly designed to get you to overspend.
Then there's the ingrained cultural belief that you need a new car. It's almost a rite of passage.
But the truth, which can be hard to stomach, is that a new car loses 60% of its value in the first 5 years.
60%?
Think about it. A $50,000 new car loses $30,000 in 5 years, which is about $115 per week in lost value. You might as well open your window on your way to work once a week and throw out a $100 bill. It's a continuous invisible drain.
That's a painful visual.
The author reveals that the average millionaire drives a 2-year-old car with no payments. They simply don't take that massive initial loss. Even 0% interest car deals are a trick. While borrowing might be free, the huge value loss still means you're losing a substantial amount of money.
And what about the idea that leasing a car is sophisticated? That it's what smart people do because you should lease things that go down in value and take the tax advantage?
No. Consumer advocates like Consumer Reports and Smart Money Magazine and any good financial calculator confirm that the car lease is the most expensive way to operate a vehicle.
Most expensive.
Yeah. You're essentially renting to own with an extremely high cost of capital, averaging 13% interest effectively. When you lease a $45,000 car for 3 years and it's worth $22,500 at turn-in, you're covering that entire $22,500 loss plus profit and interest.
You pay the depreciation plus fees.
Dealers make minimal profit on new car sales, about 3.9%, but huge profits, an additional $1,600 to $5,000, come from finance reserve or money factor markups on financing and leases, often undisclosed. The paperwork often hides the sales price, only showing gross capitalized cost.
Sneaky.
The simple truth is the typical car dealer makes their money in the finance office in the shop, not in the sale of new cars. And for business use, tax deductions are available without taking on expensive payments.
Then there's arguably the best myth that banks and lenders love to propagate. You should get a credit card to build your credit. It sounds so responsible, doesn't it?
It does. But it's essentially a bankers and car dealers' underlying message. Get debt to get more debt. But the reality is cash buys stuff better than debt, and you won't be using credit in a total money makeover anyway, except possibly for a mortgage for which credit cards aren't needed to qualify.
Right.
And the urban legend that debit cards are riskier for online purchases or hotel reservations is simply not true. Visa's regulations require the card-issuing bank to afford the debit card full protection, similar to credit cards when run as a credit transaction, not using your PIN.
Okay, good to know.
The key difference, and why it's safer, is that there is one thing the debit card won't do: get you into debt.
That's the bottom line. It's often rationalized that if you pay off your credit card every month, you get the free use of someone else's money. Many people genuinely believe they are beating the system.
Yeah, the "I'm smarter than the credit card company" argument.
Yeah.
But the stark reality is that Ramsey Solutions research says that 61% of people don't pay off their credit cards every month.
Most people don't.
The game is rigged to entice you. Lenders work hard to lure you in with free hat, airline miles, brownie points back, free use of someone else's money, a discount, because ultimately you lose and they win.
Mm-hmm.
Alan and Lonnie Clough, for example, found themselves $95,000 in debt. They destroyed their credit cards, paid off consumer debt and cars in 18 months, saved a 6-month emergency fund, and then paid off their house in 7 years.
Wow, total turnaround.
This financial freedom allowed them to take a pay cut and focus more on the things that really matter, bringing them true joy. They stopped playing a game they couldn't win.
And on the topic of credit cards, there's a myth that's especially dangerous for the next generation. Give a teenager a credit card to teach responsibility. It seems logical on the surface, but it has tragic consequences.
This is directly debunked. Getting a credit card for your teenager is an excellent way to teach him or her to be financially irresponsible.
Irresponsible, wow.
Teens are the #1 target of credit card companies because of brand loyalty to the first bank that certifies their adulthood. It's like giving a teenager a loaded automatic weapon with the safety off, or beer to teach them how to hold their liquor.
That's a strong comparison.
The tragic outcome can be severe, as shown by the 2 college students in Oklahoma who died by suicide due to credit card debt. It's an incredibly potent illustration of the stakes.
Oh, that's awful. We heard from a caller who got their first credit card at 18, didn't understand it, lost their job, had their truck repossessed, lived in Section 8 housing, and accrued $10,000 in debt on a $30,000 income. They only found peace by cutting up cards and budgeting.
It took hitting bottom. It took a deep-seated change, a complete shift in mindset to break free.
On the flip side, Chelsea, a 15-year-old who went through a personal finance curriculum, now thinks, whoa, how could they do that to their life? When she sees credit cards, realizing you don't have to.
Exactly. This foundational knowledge, instilled early, prevents a lifetime of mistakes.
Another appealing myth is that debt consolidation saves you, promising lower interest rates and payments, a seemingly easy fix to overwhelm.
Looks good on paper. But the truth is, 78% of the time, after someone consolidates his credit card debt, the debt grows back. Because the person lacks a game plan for cash or saving. They haven't addressed the underlying behavioral issues.
Just move the debt around.
Pretty much. Lower payments often come from extended terms, meaning you pay the lender more in total interest over a longer period. Dan's story is a prime example. He took out a second mortgage to consolidate credit card and medical debt, moved, and then faced legal action on the second mortgage when the first foreclosed, leaving him with payments on a home he no longer owned.
Oh my gosh.
This highlights the danger of simply moving debt around without addressing the underlying spending and saving habits.
Finally, we have the ridiculous scenario posed by some economists. If no one used debt, our economy would collapse. It sounds like an unshakable truth, doesn't it?
It does sound serious, but the simple truth is, nope, it would prosper. While it's unlikely we'll see a world completely without debt, given the 7 billion credit card offers annually.
7 billion.
Yeah. The principle remains. Debt is not a tool. It is a method to make banks wealthy, not you. The borrower truly is slave to the lender.
Moving on from debt, let's confront some pervasive money myths that promise easy wealth or a false sense of security. The idea of quick, easy money is, as the author states, one of the oldest lies or myths in the human race.
So tempting, though.
There are no secrets of the rich or a magic key to instant financial success. Financial well-being is not complicated. It may be difficult, but it is not complicated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those emails promising a 500-to-1 return are a scam, period. Run as fast as you can.
Delete.
And the infomercials promising wild wealth through nothing-down real estate, hidden formulas for the stock market,
Right.
or at-home business scams like stuffing envelopes for metal billing are designed to rip you off. While real estate can be purchased with nothing down, you end up owing so much, there's often no positive cash flow. The players with cash are the ones who win in real estate. And stock market secrets like the infamous Beardstown Ladies, a proven fraud, or Dogs of the Dow, a formula that ultimately didn't work, have consistently proven to be dead ends.
So what's the real way?
The only way that truly works, the author emphasizes, is lots of hard work, living on less than you make, getting out of debt, and living on a plan. It's not sexy, but it's effective and reliable.
Another dangerous myth is that cash value life insurance will make you wealthy. It's often presented as an investment vehicle bundled with insurance.
Oh, this one is terrible.
Yeah.
The reality is it's one of the worst financial products available. Over 60% of policies sold are cash value, like whole life or universal life, packaging insurance and savings. But the returns are horrible.
How bad?
A 30-year-old spending $100 a month for $125,000 coverage would pay only 10 months for the same term life coverage.
$10 versus $100?
Yeah. The $90 difference disappears in commissions and expenses for the first 2 to 5 years, then yields average returns of only 2% for whole life, or 4.5% for universal life. And here's the kicker. The savings you finally build up after being ripped off for years don't go to your family upon your death.
What? Seriously?
Only the face value is paid. A much better option is a $10 term policy and putting the other $90 in a mutual fund or savings. Travis and Mary Skinner, for example, recognized they had bought into the student loans are good debt myth for a decade and also had whole life insurance. They dumped the whole life for term, paid off $27,000 in debt in 15 months, and found financial peace.
Just buy term and invest the difference. Got it. Then there's the myth that mobile homes are a shortcut to home ownership. It seems like a quicker path to owning your own place.
Generally, no. The truth is, buying a trailer is generally a setback for owning appreciating real estate. If it looks like a trailer, it will go down, not up, in value.
Depreciating asset.
Exactly. The rare exception is Ron's plan. He sold a $120,000 home, bought a small farm, and a very used $3,000 trailer with no payments. On an $85,000 income, they saved and built a paid-for $250,000 home in a couple of years, even selling the trailer for $3,200.
Wow, that's radical.
This illustrates that radical strategic sacrifice, when aligned with a clear goal, can lead to a much better outcome. But it's the exception, not the rule.
And what about prepaying funerals or college as smart investing? This is often seen as a thoughtful way to plan for the future.
This is also a myth for most people. The return on prepaying is simply avoiding future price increases, which isn't always the best investment. For college, average tuition inflation is 8%, so prepaying yields that rate. But good growth stock mutual funds average 12%. And you can save for college tax-free in specific accounts.
Better returns elsewhere.
For funerals, pre-planning is wise, as it clarifies wishes, but prepaying is unwise financially. Sarah's story is a somber reminder. She paid $8,000 for a prepaid funeral at age 39. If invested at 12% in a mutual fund, that money would have been worth $842,300 by age 78.
800,000.
As the author quips, I think Sarah could be buried for that, with a little left over, unless, of course, she is King Tut. It's a powerful illustration of opportunity cost.
Many people, when overwhelmed with debt, believe that debt management companies are saviors, seen on TV as a quick rescue.
While they take one payment and distribute it, often negotiating lower rates, this is not a loan-like debt consolidation. The truth, however, is that you may get out of debt, but only with your credit trashed.
Trashed credit. Why?
Because creditors often report the accounts as settled for less than the full amount, which damages your score. This impacts your ability to get conventional, FHA, or VA loans later. The advice is clear. Clean your credit with a Total Money Makeover, live under control, pay cash, and let your credit clean itself naturally over time as you demonstrate responsible financial behavior.
This next one causes a lot of heartache in real life. The misconception that my divorce decree protects from debt, meaning if the decree says your spouse has to pay the debt, you're off the hook.
Oh, this is a painful one. The unfortunate truth is, divorce decrees do not have the power to take your name off credit cards and mortgages, so if your spouse doesn't pay, be ready to. You still owe the debt.
The bank doesn't care about the decree.
Nope. Your name is still on the contract. It's a harsh legal reality that many find out the hard way, leading to unexpected financial burdens long after the divorce.
And when you're struggling with debt, you might even fall for the myth that collectors are your friends. They sound helpful on the phone, don't they?
No, collectors are not your friends. Their motive is simply to get you to pay, and they will use bullying tactics if necessary. A strong warning. Credit card collectors are the worst, for they will lie, cheat, and steal, and that is just before breakfast.
That bad, huh?
Yeah. The crucial advice is, any deal, special plan, or settlement you make with collectors must be in writing before you send the money. Never allow electronic access to your accounts or send post-dated checks. Get it in writing first.
The idea of a quick escape from overwhelming debt is often tempting. I'll just file bankruptcy and start over. It seems so easy.
It seems easy, but the truth is, bankruptcy is a gut-wrenching, life-changing event that causes lifelong damage. The author, having been bankrupt himself and worked with countless others, stresses it's not a place you want to visit.
Life-altering.
It's listed among the top 5 life-altering negative events, alongside divorce, severe illness, disability, and loss of a loved one. Chapter 7 stays on your credit report for 10 years, Chapter 13 for 7. But you're asked if you ever filed on loan and job applications, making it for life.
Wow. For life. Susan and Larry Hickman's story powerfully illustrates this. They filed bankruptcy 3 times due to repeated bad choices and external events. They carried immense shame, hiding the dirty secret, and the stress contributed to more heart attacks for Larry.
It's devastating. They only found hope after starting the makeover at ages 52 and 67, paying off $26,000 of debt after 3 restarts of baby step 1. It highlights the pain and self-deception of repeating mistakes and how deep-seated behavioral issues can lead to lifelong consequences if not addressed.
And another common myth is, carrying cash is dangerous. I might get robbed. It's a pervasive fear, especially in our increasingly cashless society.
The truth, surprisingly, is that you're being robbed every day by not using the power of cash.
Robbed by plastic. How?
Cash makes you spend less because it's a tangible exchange, and it helps you get bargains because you can often negotiate. And as for robbery, crooks don't have X-ray vision, and you need to be far more worried about the danger of using credit cards than the danger of being robbed while carrying cash. The real danger is that the mismanagement of plastic is robbing you every month. Cash, on the other hand, helps you stick to your budget. If the food envelope is low, you eat leftovers. It brings a powerful sense of control.
We all hate insurance until we need it, but the myth that you can't afford insurance is incredibly dangerous. Some insurance you simply can't afford to be without.
Absolutely essential. Essential types for a financial makeover include auto and homeowner insurance. Choose higher deductibles, but high liability limits to protect your assets. Life insurance should be 20-year level term, 10-12 times your income. Never use it for savings or investment.
Term life only.
Right. Long-term disability is crucial, as you're twice as likely to be disabled and to die by age 65. It protects your most valuable asset, your income. Buy it through work, if possible, aiming for 50-70% income coverage.
Okay.
Health insurance is vital, being the #1 cause of bankruptcy. Look for high deductibles to lower premiums and use a health savings account, HSA, for tax-free medical savings, if eligible. And if you're over 60, Long-term care insurance can protect your nest egg from the average 110,000-year nursing home cost. It's about protecting what you've built.
Finally, there's the irrational fear. Doing a will means you'll die. It's a common psychological barrier to something critically important.
It's superstition, really. The truth, simply put, is you are going to die, so do it with a will. A shocking 67% of Americans die without one, leaving the state to decide what happens to their stuff, their kids, and their legacy.
The state decides. Scary.
Proverbs 13.22 says, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." A will is a gift you leave your family or loved ones, making estate management very clear and light years easier for them during a difficult time. It's an act of love and responsibility.
Yeah.
#tag3, overcoming the hurdles of ignorance and peer pressure.
So after tackling those deeply ingrained myths, let's talk about the next major hurdle many people face. Ignorance.
Yeah, a big one. And to be clear, when we say ignorance, it's not a lack of intelligence, it's simply a lack of know-how.
Right.
No one is born financially smart, just like no one's born knowing how to drive a car or read a book. These are learned skills.
It's a lamentable truth that despite Americans, on average, handling over $3 million in a working lifetime, based on a $75,000 median household income, our high schools and colleges teach nothing about how to manage this money.
It's criminal, really.
We essentially graduate with a financial master's degree in DUMB, a degree in not knowing how to manage our money, forcing us to learn through painful trial and error.
We truly are thrown into the financial deep end without a paddle. But overcoming this ignorance is straightforward and empowering. First, you must, with no shame, admit that you are not a financial expert because you were never formally taught these vital skills.
No shame in that.
None at all. Second, commit to finishing this deep dive, absorbing these core principles. And third, commit to a lifetime quest to learn more about money. That means actively reading a relevant book annually, attending seminars, showing that you genuinely care by continuously learning. It's an ongoing process of empowerment.
The second major hurdle is deeply ingrained in our culture, affecting us all, keeping up with the Joneses.
Ugh, the Joneses.
Call it peer pressure, cultural expectations, or the pursuit of a reasonable standard of living. This fundamental need for approval and respect drives us to do some truly unwise things financially.
It's a profound paradox. We often destroy our finances trying to appear wealthy to others. But what's fascinating is that the real wealth builders are doing the opposite. Dr. Tom Stanley's groundbreaking book, The Millionaire Next Door, which rigorously studied America's millionaires, found the opposite of what most people think.
What did he find?
Typical millionaires live in middle-class homes, drive 2-year-old or older paid-for cars, and buy blue jeans at Walmart.
No way. Really?
Yeah. Their motivation is financial security, not external approval or showing off. The Joneses we try to keep up with are often broke themselves, living a facade.
The author himself provides a powerful example of this drive for external approval. His Achilles heel was cars.
We all have one.
In his mid-20s, he describes how he needed a Jaguar, not for practical transportation, but because he needed for people to be impressed with my success, to gain approval and respect from others.
He quite literally drove himself into financial ruin, clinging to that car, refinancing it repeatedly, even getting a friend to co-sign. He recounted having his electricity cut off for 2 days while still owning a Jaguar.
Electricity off, Jaguar in the drive. Wow.
The car eventually deteriorated, and a $1,700 oil leak turned it into a James Bond smokescreen mobile, constantly leaving a trail of oil.
Oh, the visual.
The humiliating process of finally selling the car made him realize that being too stubborn to address what that car represented in my life, he caused much damage that was avoidable.
A painful lesson.
The healing came 15 years later when, wealthy again, he acquired a Jaguar, but only when it was not my idol. It perfectly illustrates the motto, if you will live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. It's about detaching your self-worth from external possessions.
And it truly requires a radical change in the quest for approval, a shift from outward validation to internal peace. Sarah, who we heard from earlier, experienced an earth-shattering moment at Thanksgiving when she bravely announced to her family that they were changing their traditional, extravagant gift-giving to a drawing of names because she couldn't afford it.
That takes courage. Her family was furious. Gift-giving was a deeply ingrained tradition. Despite her master's degree in sociology, Sarah struggled internally, feeling like a little 12-year-old girl yearning for approval from her daddy, even as an adult.
Felt like a kid again.
But her courage to address what may seem like a small issue, a Christmas gift exchange, was a huge breakthrough for Sarah, a heart-level total money makeover. She was no longer going to be led into well-dressed poverty by peer pressure.
That's fantastic.
This really drives home the point. If you are still clinging to financial myths, locked in denial, or allowing peer pressure to dictate your spending, the upcoming plan will be near impossible. You have to truly decide before the climb if you are going to follow the guide, this proven path to freedom. This journey demands total, honest commitment.
So you've decided to follow the guide. The very foundation of your financial makeover, what we call baby step 0, is budgeting.
The bedrock.
This isn't a one-time event you do and forget. It's a fundamental, continuous step that underpins everything else. Think about that common anxiety of feeling out of control, having your debit card decline at the register, or getting unexpected late notices in the mail. It's a terrible feeling.
It is. As a renowned leadership expert John Maxwell so perfectly puts it, a budget is people telling their money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Love that. Tell it where to go.
It's your personalized blueprint for managing your lifetime income of over $3 million. When you actively budget, you gain immense peace of mind and true control, knowing exactly where every dollar is going. No more anxiety about unexpected expenses because you've planned for them. This shifts you from a reactive to a proactive financial stance.
So how do you actually budget effectively?
The key is what's called a zero-based budget. You set up a new budget every month, not a perfect one from the start, but a realistic one based on your actual income and expenses.
Every single month.
Every single month. And the core principle: you spend every dollar on paper before the month begins. Give every dollar of your income a name before the month begins. That means income minus outgo equals 0 every month. Every dollar has a job, whether it's for bills, savings, or even fun money.
What about irregular income?
If you have an irregular income, like a salesperson or freelancer, you'll use a prioritized spending plan, making sure the most important bills are covered first. But still, you must budget monthly. And here's the crucial part, especially if you're married or share finances with someone. You must agree on the budget with your spouse.
Ah, the agreement part. That's huge.
This isn't just a suggestion. It's a non-negotiable step for true financial harmony. You literally make a firm and unbreakable commitment that you will never do anything with money that is not on that paper. The budget, that piece of paper, becomes the boss of your money, not your impulses.
To help you with this, there are great tools available that simplify the process. One popular choice is the Every Dollar app.
Every Dollar is a powerful digital tool that allows you to create your zero-based budget, track your spending in real time, and clearly see your progress. You can get free premium access for 3 months, which connects directly to your bank accounts and streams your transactions into your budget, making it incredibly easy to track.
Oh, that sounds helpful.
Plus, it offers tons of resources and reports to keep you on track and motivated. It truly makes budgeting accessible and effective for everyone, even those who feel overwhelmed by numbers.
Now we get into the actual baby steps themselves, a brilliant framework for financial progress. The concept is pulled from the classic movie What About Bob, where a therapist tells his patient, you can get anywhere if you simply go one step at a time.
Baby steps. It's like eating an elephant, as they say, one bite at a time.
Right.
It's the same with starting any challenging journey, like a fitness transformation. You don't try to run 3 miles and lift all the heaviest weights on day 1.
Whoa, way.
You walk before you run to avoid being overwhelmed and frustrated. This initial step is specifically designed for quick wins, which are vital for building momentum and motivation.
Get that momentum going.
Think about losing weight the first week of a diet, or a salesperson making a quick, easy sale. That immediate positive reinforcement makes you want to keep going.
The immediate goal here is to save an initial $1,000 for your beginner emergency fund. Its primary purpose is to catch the little things, those unexpected bumps in the road, before you start the intense process of dumping the debt.
Exactly. It prevents what the author calls life's little Murphys. As in Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, from turning into new debt.
That little buffer.
This initial fund is critically important for breaking the cycle of borrowing for every minor emergency. And let's be crystal clear about what are not emergencies. Christmas? It's always in December, so budget for it. Predictable car maintenance or repairs? What would you budget for these? Kids outgrowing clothes? Budgeted. A leather couch on sale? A want, not a need. Fixing a boat, unless you literally live on it. Starting a new business, buying a car, going on vacation, or prom dresses and college tuition. These are all predictable expenses or wants that you plan and save for, not unexpected crises that derail your progress.
The urgency here is key. You need to quickly get your $1,000. For most people who commit to this, they should hit this step in less than a month.
Get it done fast.
If it looks like it will take longer, you should do something radical. The advice is to deliver pizzas, work part-time, or sell something else. Get crazy and temporarily ramp up your income or cut expenses to hit that goal.
Remember, and this is a powerful truth, if the Joneses, all the break people, think you are cool, you are heading the wrong way. If they think you are crazy, you are probably on track.
That's your compass. Okay, once you have it, you need to hide it because you can't keep the money handy because it will get spent on impulse.
Out of sight, out of mind. A simple bank savings account is recommended, but don't link it for overdraft protection, as it'll be spent on impulse. The goal isn't earning interest. $1,000 at 4% earns only 4%, but rather safety and inaccessibility.
Right, safety, not growth here.
Maria had a creative yet effective idea, framing $100 bills with, in case of emergency, break glass, and hiding them behind coats in a closet, making it hard to access impulsively.
I love that.
This $1,000 emergency fund, limited to $1,000 in liquid, available cash, is all that is acceptable at this stage. If you happen to have more than $1,000 in investments, like CDs, mutual funds, savings bonds, stocks, or even checking, you should take the penalty for early withdrawal and get it out and put it towards debt.
Okay, clear that out. The emotional impact of this first, seemingly small step is profound for so many people. Take Lily, for example, a single mom with a $1,200 a month income, drowning in what she called survival debt. She had lost all hope of ever saving anything.
So many feel that way. But when she saved her first $500 towards that $1,000 goal, tears began to run down her cheeks when she realized what she had done. Her friend observed, even her face has changed now that she has peace.
Wow, just $500.
It wasn't just the $500 itself that did all that. What caused Lily's liberation was her newfound hope. This step, even though small in dollar amount, builds the spiritual and emotional basis for the entire makeover, showing you that you can do this.
This next step is often considered the toughest of all the baby steps, demanding incredible focus and determination. The debt snowball.
This is where the intensity kicks in.
Here's how it works. You list all your debts, every single one except your home mortgage, from the smallest payoff balance to the largest, regardless of the interest rate.
Smallest to largest balance.
So that 24% credit card might actually be paid off after a 4% student loan if the credit card has a smaller balance.
And that's precisely because we are more concerned with modifying behavior than correct mathematics. The author quips, if you were so fabulous with math, you wouldn't have debt.
Point.
This method is powerfully designed for quick wins because paying off those small debts first creates intense momentum and fires you up. If you go on a diet and lose weight the first week, you stick to it. The same psychology applies here. You see tangible progress, and that keeps you motivated through the long haul.
This step demands what's called gazelle intensity. Think of Proverbs 6.1 and 5, paraphrased by the author as, deliver yourself like the bird from the hand of the fowler and the gazelle from the hand of the hunter. It's about running like crazy with an intense, focused energy.
The Discovery Channel's cheetah versus gazelle analogy illustrates this perfectly. The gazelle outmaneuvers the cheetah, the fastest land mammal, by running in 14 different unpredictable directions. The cheetah only succeeds in 1 out of 19 chases.
Outsmart the predator.
You have to outmaneuver the enemy of debt and financial complacency and run for your life. Stephen and Amanda Farrar are a great example. They sold their new Jeep Liberty for a used 1991 model, took extra shifts, scaled back their lifestyle dramatically, and endured ridicule from friends and family. Folks made fun of us, which told us we were on the right track.
Getting made fun of means you're doing it right.
Sometimes. This intense focus led to no major arguments over money and a feeling that we can do anything we want in a short time.
And who can forget the PhD lady who supersized her debt snowball list on the refrigerator, proudly yelling, "Oh yeah, we're getting out of debt," every time she crossed one off.
Love that image.
Yeah.
It just shows that behavioral change is best enhanced by some quick, although small wins. You celebrate every victory along the way.
So how does the snowball actually work mechanically?
The mechanical process is simple. Every extra dollar you can find anywhere from your budget, extra work, selling things, goes on the smallest debt until it is gone. Then, you take the money you were paying on that first debt and add it to the payment of the next smallest debt.
And roll it over.
Exactly. This creates a powerful snowball effect. Every time the snowball rolls over, it picks up more snow and gets larger, and by the time you get to the bottom, you have an avalanche.
Right.
You'll be making huge payments on the larger debts quickly, clearing them out.
A crucial component here is to stop borrowing. You must draw a line in the sand and say, I will never borrow again.
No more debt. And trust me, as soon as you make that statement, there will be a test. Trust me. Your car transmission will suddenly fail. Your kid will unexpectedly need braces.
Life happens.
You need what's called a plastectomy, cutting up your credit card's N-now-W, because a permanent change in your view of debt is your only chance. As the author says, you can't get out a hole by digging out the bottom.
Cut 'em up. Sometimes your budget is so tight that there's simply no extra money to get the snowball rolling. What then?
This is where you might need dynamite to break the log jam, a metaphor from timber operations. This means getting radical and making significant sacrifices, even selling valuable possessions. As the author frankly says, some people realize, I love my stupid car more than the idea of becoming wealthy enough to give cars away.
Ouch. Gotta face that.
Jeff and Teresa Eller, for instance, had $30,000 in credit card debt and $5,000 to the IRS. They attacked the IRS debt furiously first, then credit cards. They sold their rental property, and BMW ate creative meals, said no to fun stuff, and became debt-free except for the house, finding contentment, and became happier than we had ever been.
Extreme measures pay off. And if the budget is just too tight, another method of dynamite is to increase your income.
Yeah, bring in more money, working extra hours, even taking on a temporary part-time job can significantly increase income in order to increase the speed of debt repayment. For those who are radically gazelle intense, you may even temporarily stop your retirement plan contributions even if your company matches them to accelerate debt freedom.
Pause retirement saving, even the match.
Temporarily. It's a short-term sacrifice for a massive long-term gain of getting out of high-interest debt faster. A quick note. If you do use your $1,000 emergency fund during baby step 2, for instance, Penny had a $650 AC repair. You must put the debt snowball temporarily on hold, continue making minimum payments on your other debts, and go back to the first step until you get back up to $1,000 in your emergency fund.
Refill the buffer first.
Always.
Yeah.
You simply can't move forward without that crucial buffer. And for those with second mortgages or home equity loans, the guidance is specific. If it's more than 50% of your gross annual income, you'll deal with it later. If less, it goes into the debt snowball. It's always a good idea to consider refinancing first and second mortgages together to a 15-year or shorter term if rates allow, but don't pause your snowball to do it.
Okay, breathe it in for a moment. You've reached baby step 3. For most gazelle-intense people who are truly focused, this is typically 18 to 20 months into the journey.
A huge milestone.
You have that crucial $1,000 cash, and incredibly, you have no debt except your home mortgage. Can you imagine the feeling? Did I see you smiling just now? Because that's a monumental achievement.
It truly is a huge milestone, a feeling of incredible liberation. Now, the goal is to fully fund your emergency fund. This will typically range from $10,000 to $25,000, covering 3 to 6 months of your living expenses.
3 to 6 months.
A family making $3,000 a month, for example, might need a minimum of $10,000. It's like carrying an umbrella. It will rain, you need an umbrella. Money Magazine states that a sobering 78% of us will have a major unexpected event within the next 10 years.
78%. It's gonna happen.
You simply can't depend on credit cards to bail you out of major emergencies anymore because you're committed to staying out of debt.
So what exactly qualifies as an emergency that you'd use this fund for?
It's something you had no way of knowing was coming, something that has a major impact on you and your family if you don't cover it. This includes your insurance deductibles, medical, homeowners, car, job loss, or a significant cutback in income, unexpected medical bills from an accident or unforeseen problem, or a major car repair like a blown transmission or engine. These are true surprises.
Got it. What's not an emergency again?
What is not an emergency? Sale items, no impulse buys, fixing a boat, unless you literally live on it, starting a new business, buying a new car, or going on vacation, prom dresses, or college tuition. These are all things you plan and save for. And a key point, if your emergency fund is fully funded, you should not make payments on medical bills over time. You pay them with the fund, avoiding lingering debt.
Okay. Before using this fully funded safety net, you need to back up from the situation and calm down.
Take a breath. The author shares that he and his wife never use the emergency fund without first discussing it and being in agreement. And they would never use it without sleeping on the decision and praying about it. This helps you discern if the decision to use the fund is a rationalization, a reaction, or a real emergency.
Sleep on it. Good advice. You must keep this fund liquid, meaning easy to get to, with no penalties for withdrawal.
Absolutely liquid. Mutual funds are fantastic for long-term investing, but they are not suitable for emergency cash. You might be tempted to borrow if the market is down, rather than cashing out your investment, which is another invitation to Murphy.
Right, don't invest the emergency fund.
Christine, a 69-year-old grandmother, learned this the hard way when her wise banker advised her to borrow $3,000 at 9% for a transmission repair, rather than cashing out a 5% CD with a small 2.5% penalty. Christine would have been significantly better off taking the small penalty.
Bad advice from the banker.
The fund's purpose is not for wealth building, but to protect you against storms, give you peace of mind, and keep the next problem from becoming debt.
How big should your fund be? The 3 to 6 months rule of thumb depends directly on your risk level.
Yeah, tailor it. 6 months of expenses are advised if you're straight commission, self-employed, single, a one-income married household, have an unstable job, or chronic medical problems. 3 months might be sufficient for a steady, secure job, 15-plus years with a company or a government, and good health.
Makes sense.
You should absolutely customize the size to your specific situation and, importantly, how your spouse deals with the feeling of risk. The spouse who wants this fund to be higher wins because it builds security for both of you.
Higher amount wins, okay.
James and Tabitha Atwood's story highlights this. Struggling with debt until a layoff forced them to get on board. This crisis fueled the necessary gazelle intensity for their makeover, demonstrating the amazing power of an emergency fund to transform a potential disaster into a manageable situation.
It's interesting how gender can play a role here in the perception of security. Men are often task-oriented, while women are typically security-based.
Yes, there's what's described as a security gland in women that will spasm under financial stress, affecting emotions, concentration, and even intimacy. For men, one of the best investments you will ever make is in an emergency fund. Sharon's peace of mind bought with the oversized emergency fund is a great return on investment. Guys, this can be a wonderful gift to your wife.
Happy wife, happy life, right? It brings an invaluable sense of stability to the relationship. As you progress through your makeover and this step, something truly amazing happens. What used to be crises in your life become mere inconveniences.
It really does change your perspective.
For Kim, a 23-year-old single woman with a $27,000 income who had just started her makeover and had no insurance, getting in a $550 car wreck was a huge, hairy emergency that derailed her completely.
But for George and Sally, who were debt-free with a $12,000 emergency fund and a $75,000 income, the same $550 car damage from flying trash was a mere inconvenience that was covered without a second thought.
Just an inconvenience, that's the goal.
The powerful takeaway is that as you get in better shape, it takes a lot more to rock your world. The emergency fund acts as Murphy repellent, making Murphy's visits less frequent and far less noticeable. The author himself notes how a $580 AC repair was a huge, hairy deal when he was broke, but a $1,300 water heater replacement was hardly noticed later on, simply covered by his fully funded emergency account.
And a crucial piece of advice for those dreaming of homeownership: do not buy a home until you finish this step. It's so important. Moving into homeownership with debt and no emergency fund is like inviting Murphy to set up residence in the spare bedroom. While homeownership has many financial and emotional advantages, rushing into it unprepared can lead to significant stress and financial difficulty, turning the dream into a nightmare.
All right, you've kicked Murphy out. Now you're officially a marathoner. You're at the 18-mile mark of the financial marathon, and you're in grave danger of settling for good enough. It's that point where you've done so much you might think you can just cruise.
Yeah, the fatigue sets in. This is a definite mental battle. Big black clouds of doubt enter the mentally tough and trained competitive mind. You're now one of the top 5 to 10% of Americans with some wealth, a plan, and control over your money. But finishing well can be more important than starting well.
Finish strong.
You have to push past that good enough feeling and commit to seeing this through for your long-term future.
The core rule for this step is to invest 15% of before-tax gross income annually toward retirement. This is a consistent, non-negotiable amount. 15%. Why 15%? Not more or less. You still need income for your children's college funds, a later step, and eventually to pay off your mortgage, the final step. But you also need to start retirement saving now to truly leverage the power of compound growth over decades.
Let that money work for you.
Company matches from your employer are gravy and don't include company matches in your plan when calculating your 15%.
Match is extra. Okay.
And a critical point for your dignity. Do not use potential Social Security benefits in your calculations, as the system's math spells doom. You are responsible for your own financial dignity in retirement.
Your primary tool for this long-term investment is good growth stock mutual funds. These are often misunderstood, but they are lousy short-term investments if you need the money in a few years, but excellent long-term investments when leaving the money longer than 5 years.
Time horizon is key. History strongly backs this up. The S&P 500, a broad market index, has averaged 11.59% per year for the last 90-plus years, and 100% of the 15-year periods in the stock market's history have made money.
100% over 15 years.
The author's own recommended funds have averaged over 12% for decades. You should spread your investment evenly, 25% each, across 4 types of funds to diversify and capture different market segments: growth and income, large-cap blue-chip companies; growth, mid-cap equity, often mirroring an S&P index; international, foreign overseas companies; and aggressive growth, small-cap emerging market companies with higher risk but higher potential return.
Okay, 4 types. So once you've committed to that 15% goal, where do you invest first? What's the optimal order?
Good question. Prioritize where you have a company match first in your workplace retirement plan, like a 401k.
Yeah.
It's free money, essentially a 100% return on your investment, so max that out.
Get the match first, always.
After maxing out the match, fully fund Roth IRAs for both you and your spouse, if applicable. Roth IRAs are powerful because your money grows tax-free, and qualified withdrawals in retirement are also tax-free.
Tax-free growth and withdrawal.
Nice. If you still haven't hit 15% of your gross income, then go back to 401ks, 403bs, 457s, or SEPs for the self-employed. For example, a couple with a $100,000 household income, if the husband's 401k matches 3%, would put $1,500 there, then $13,500 into 2 Roth IRAs to reach their 15% goal.
Okay, that makes sense. And the power of compounding is truly mind-boggling, almost unbelievable. Let's dream with us for a moment about Joe and Susie Average, a hypothetical 27-year-old couple with a $75,000-year household income who never get a raise their entire lives.
Yeah, let's see the magic. If they consistently invest 15%, $11,250 a year, or $937.50 a month, into Roth IRAs from age 30 to 70, a 40-year period, assuming a reasonable average return, they will have $11 million tax-free.
11 million tax-free from 75K income.
That's the power of compounding over time. Even if we're half wrong and you end up with only $5.5 million, that sure beats being one of the 1 in 3 people over age 60 who can't scrape together $1,000.
No kidding.
The message is clear. There's no excuse to retire without financial dignity in the United States today.
Many people, especially if they're starting later in life, fear it's too late to start saving. But this plan shows it's never too late.
Never too late. Gail, at 57, felt completely hopeless about her financial future. But the steps work if you're 27 or 57. You simply start where you are and commit.
Just start.
Jimmy K. Robinson, for example, retired having never made more than $60,000 a year, but consistently put 10% into a stock purchase plan for 35 years. This highlights that consistent saving over time, even on a modest income, leads to a secure retirement.
Consistency is key.
Alarming statistics underscore the urgency. 1 in 3 people over 60 don't have $1,000 saved, and 45% of those 60 and older have incomes below basic needs. Furthermore, the number of people 65 and older in the U.S. bankruptcy system has increased 5-fold over the last 20 years. You must invest now for your future.
Next up, baby step 5, securing your children's future by saving for their college fund. We need to go beyond the cultural genie in a bottle myth that college degrees automatically ensure jobs, certainly don't ensure success, or do not ensure wealth.
Right, the degree isn't a guarantee. While education is valuable, a piece of paper isn't a magic wand.
Yeah.
Education is primarily for knowledge and learning, which is only about 15% of success in life, while a massive 85% is attitude, perseverance, diligence, and vision.
Character matters more.
Where you get your degree is not magical fairy dust. Knowledge, perseverance, integrity, and character will carry you a lot farther than simply a piece of paper with a particular school's logo on it. The school name doesn't guarantee your child's future.
The golden rule of college, whether for yourself or your children, is incredibly simple. Pay cash.
Pay cash. The second rule is, if you have the cash for the scholarship, go. If not, find another way.
No student loans.
Historically, student loans often covered lifestyle more than tuition. The average college student in the past paid $6,500 more per year to live off campus, so student loans were not for college at all, but for rent, parties, and convenience.
Loans for lifestyle.
The author encourages lifestyle adjustments for students and getting a job while in school, as work is good for them, and builds valuable life skills.
Beyond just saving, there are powerful and creative funding methods for college. The military, for instance, can provide a free college education through service.
Great option for some. Or consider the National Guard, who often pay for boot camp, tuition, and books in exchange for part-time service.
Okay.
Then there are high-rejection, high-paying summer sales jobs. Stories abound of young people earning significant income for college in just a summer or two, gaining more of an education in the summer trenches than they do in marketing class.
Builds character, too.
Shelley Hogenhout's story is powerful, working 2 or 3 jobs, cleaning resort rooms, and crying to pay off $35,000 debt on a $35,000 income, illustrating the raw power of intense sacrifice for a goal.
Intense sacrifice.
Also, government programs in underserved areas can pay student loans for service in fields like law, medicine, nursing, or teaching. Though caution is advised with public service loan forgiveness programs, which have often been a massive disappointment for many.
And of course, scholarships. There are legitimately hundreds of millions of dollars available, not just academic or athletic.
So much free money out there. Denise's story is incredible. She applied for 1,000 scholarships, was denied by 970, but persevered and was awarded totaling $38,000, which covered her tuition for 4 years.
1,000 applications, wow.
This proves that perseverance and resourcefulness can get them through school debt-free. Craig and Karen Seymour even paid cash for their daughter's education with little creativity and a lot of hard work, so she graduated with no student loans.
When it comes to the best savings vehicles, college tuition inflation averages 8%, compared to general inflation at around 4%. So you need to make at least 8% on your college savings to keep pace.
Gotta beat inflation. Baby life insurance, like Gerber's policies marketed for college savings, takes 15 years to break even on cash value, and savings bonds yield only 2.5%. Simple savings accounts, 1%, are also inadequate.
So what should you use?
The best savings vehicle is an educational savings account, ES, first. It grows tax-free for education, with a 2,000-year child contribution limit for incomes under $190,000. Investing $2,000 a year from birth at 12% in mutual funds yields $126,000 tax-free compared to $72,000 for prepaid tuition plans.
ESAs first. Got it. What's second choice?
Your second choice for college savings, if you need more flexibility or have higher income that precludes ESAs, are flexible 529 plans, which allow you to move investments within a family of funds like those offered by American Funds, Vanguard, or Fidelity. These are excellent tax-advantaged ways to save specifically for education.
You've reached marathoner status, having no debt except for the house, with a fully funded emergency fund, consistently investing for retirement, and diligently saving for college. This is the final major hurdle before you are completely debt-free, no payments.
The home stretch. Now, you unleash the full power of your largest wealth-building tool, your income. Every dollar you earn, after covering necessities and savings, can be thrown at that mortgage.
Some people will look at you sideways when you talk about paying off your mortgage early, like telling them to build wings and fly to the moon. It goes against conventional wisdom for many.
Oh yeah, you'll get pushback. But there are powerful reasons to pay it off early, and we need to debunk some common myths surrounding it. First, the ubiquitous tax deduction myth. It is wise to keep my home mortgage to get the tax deduction.
Heard that one a million times.
The truth is, tax deductions are no bargain. If you pay $10,000 in mortgage interest to get a tax deduction, you are still out $10,000. It's not a profit center. It's like our previous rant about big tax refunds. You're just letting the government use your money interest-free for a year. A deduction just means you're paying less tax on money you've already spent, not that you're making money.
Then there's the borrow to invest myth, which sounds so financially savvy. It is wise to borrow all I can on my home because the interest rate is lower than the return I can get if I invest the money. So the logic goes, borrow at 8% on your home, invest at 12% in mutual funds, and get an easy 4% spread.
Sounds smart, but the truth is, you really don't make anything when the smoke clears. This myth dangerously ignores risk. Debt, particularly mortgage debt, causes risk to increase, and the 2008-09 recession proved it dramatically. 100% of the foreclosed homes had a mortgage.
100%.
You wouldn't compare a potential 12% mutual fund return with a 500% roulette return without accounting for risk, would you? That's the same faulty logic.
Yeah.
After adjusting for taxes and real-world risk, you don't make money on our little formula. Throughout a lifetime of investing in mortgaging, the debt-free person will actually come out ahead. Peace of mind has a financial value.
And the 30-year mortgage wiggle room myth. Take out a 30-year mortgage and promise yourself to pay it like a 15 years, so if something goes wrong, you have wiggle room. It sounds like a prudent backup plan.
Sounds prudent, but the blunt truth? Something will go wrong. And most people, despite their best intentions, lack innate discipline and fabulous natural self-control when it comes to consistently paying extra.
Life gets in the way.
Almost no one systematically monthly pays extra on their mortgage. Distractions like sick children, bad transmissions, prom dresses, or even just the desire for a vacation divert those promised extra payments. The difference in interest paid is staggering. A $445,500 mortgage at 7% for 30 years cost $1,067,014 in total. For 15 years, it's $720,770.
Whoa, over $300,000 difference.
That's a $346,244 difference in what you pay. The wise advice is to simply make payments as if you have a 15-year mortgage from day one, committing to that shorter term.
Another dangerous one is the ARM balloon mortgage myth. It is wise to use the lower rates offered by an adjustable rate mortgage, ARM, or a balloon mortgage if you know you'll be moving in a few years anyway.
Risky. The truth. You will be moving when they foreclose, if things go wrong.
Yeah.
ARMs transfer interest rate risk directly to you, meaning your payments can drastically increase if rates go up. Balloon mortgages are even worse because the entire mortgage balance is due in 36 or 60 months, a massive lump sum.
That balloon payment sounds terrifying.
Jill's story is heartbreaking. She took a 5-year balloon because her sophisticated, upwardly mobile corporate guy, husband, expected career advancement, and a move. He tragically developed a brain tumor, they lost income, couldn't refinance when the balloon was due, and were forced to sell their home at a deep discount to avoid foreclosure. All of this happened because they tried to save a few dollars on the interest rate, and we knew we were going to move. Life is unpredictable.
And finally, the home equity loan as emergency fund myth. A home equity loan, HEL, is good to have instead of an emergency fund.
Terrible idea. The truth. Emergencies are precisely when you don't need debt. These loans are colloquially called HELs, as in they simply left off an L for hell and are very dangerous, with an unbelievable amount of them end in foreclosure.
HELs? Wow.
Ed and Sally's story is a classic example. Sophisticated Ed had a HEL for emergencies. Sally had a car wreck. Ed was then downsized. They quickly went through the HEL. Their credit was ruined, and the bank called the note, demanding immediate repayment, forcing them to sell their home. Ed was wrong. They should have had an emergency fund instead of a loan. It's a painful lesson about liquidity and risk.
Now, acknowledging that mortgage debt is the only debt the author doesn't yell about, he still recommends never to take more than a 15-year fixed-rate loan and never have a payment of over 25% of your take-home pay.
Stick to those guidelines.
But he also introduces a powerful alternative, the 100% down plan, paying cash for a home.
The ultimate goal for some. Luke's story is truly inspiring and illustrates this radical approach. At 23, with a $65,000 income, he and his wife, making $40,000, lived in a tiny $500 a month apartment over a garage, lived on nothing, and saved an astonishing $70,000 for 3 years.
$70,000 a year.
At 26, they paid cash for a $200,000 home. They lived like no one else, and now they're living like no one else. He faced intense peer pressure. Luke's friends and relatives thought he should be committed, but who cares what the broke people think? Their freedom speaks volumes.
As Sabrina and Doug Howerton illustrate, stopping credit cards, establishing a strict budget, paying off credit cards, then their car, building a fully funded emergency fund, and then intensely attacking their mortgage, which they paid off 1.5 years early, brought them peace and sense of fulfillment, less stress, and allowed more family vacation.
It changes everything. It's not just about the money. It's about the quality of life it enables.
This isn't a get-rich-quick book.
Definitely not. The average time frame to reach baby step 6, paying off the mortgage, is about 7 years from the date they declared war on the culture. The first 2 steps alone, getting that initial $1,000 and crushing consumer debt, often take 2 or 2.5 years.
Takes time and focus.
It's not easy, just worth it. Think about Al, who is debt-free at 31, able to read the menu from left to right at dinner without worrying about cost, and spend more than a car payment on a single meal, destined for extreme levels of wealth and giving. That's the ultimate picture of freedom and dignity.
You've done it. You've reached that perfect number, baby step 7. You are now in the top 23% of Americans financially.
Incredible achievement.
You are totally debt-free, no house payment, no car payment. You are not mastered by a card. American Excess has left your life, and you have no student loans.
Freedom.
You live on a monthly written plan, you agree with your spouse, and your retirement destiny looks far better than a bleak and undignified future. If you have children, they will be students without student loans.
You have lived like no one else, so now you will be able to live like no one else. You have reclaimed control of your life and your most powerful wealth-building tool, your income. Now with all this financial muscle, you get to do something intentional with it. It's not just to look at or hoard.
Right.
We built this financial super body for a reason. To have fun and invest and give.
Yes, money is good for F.U. Cohen. The author tells a story about prejudging a caller named Michael who wanted to buy a $40,000 Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The author admits he initially assumed Michael was broke.
Easy mistake to make sometimes. But Michael was making $650,000 9-year with $20 million in investments.
$20 million, okay.
The author's advice, a simple, buy the Harley, dude. The lesson is clear. When you have millions, buying a $40,000 toy is like most people buying a Happy Meal. It hardly even affected his money position.
Perspective changes things.
You can travel, buy nice clothes, diamonds, new cars, all guilt-free when financially strong. Money is to be enjoyed responsibly once your financial house is in order.
The second good use for money is investing. And the advice here is to keep it wonderfully simple.
That's right. Simple mutual funds and debt-free real estate. Always manage your own money, even if you surround yourself with a team of people smarter than you, because ultimately you make the decisions.
Be in control.
Don't be like celebrities or professional athletes who lose fortunes by giving up control of their finances. Proverbs 11.1 states, "In the multitude of counselors there is safety." Your essential team includes an estate planning attorney, a CPA or tax expert, an insurance professional, an investment professional, and a good real estate agent. They advise, but you decide.
And finally, the third and arguably most impactful use of money.
Giving. The best part. Keith and Karen McGinty, a teacher and stay-at-home mom, paid off their $50,000 mortgage in under 4 years, adopted 2 girls from China, and now give freely to people and organizations we believe in that focus on orphaned children in China. They truly live life the way God intended us to, like never before.
That's beautiful.
Ron and Teresa Brewer, after paying off $50,000 in debt, decided to pay their daughter's friend's private school tuition after the father's death and mother's disability. They understood a profound truth. Buying things may feel good, but giving always feels right.
Giving feels right. Love that.
Eric Butterworth's monkey trap analogy perfectly illustrates the dangers of greed, how monkeys are trapped by their unwillingness to drop sweet-smelling nuts from a bottle too small for their clenched fist, effectively trapping themselves. How many times has our freedom been taken away by nothing more than our greed?
We hear amazing stories of large-scale giving made possible by financial freedom, like a friend who buys 75 brand-new bikes annually for an inner-city ministry.
Incredible generosity, and the profound Secret Santa story. In 1971, a broke salesman, Larry Stewart, was discreetly helped by a diner owner, Tom Horn, with $20. In 1999, Stewart, now a successful businessman, found the now 85-year-old Tom and gave him $10,000, fulfilling his promise to do the same.
Wow, full circle. That gives me chills.
This illustrates the profound, full-circle impact of generosity, demonstrating how giving can create a legacy far beyond money. You cannot claim total money makeover status until you do all three. Fun, invest, give.
All three are essential.
And the beauty is, you should begin doing some of each as you go through the steps. Even giving your time by serving soup to the homeless should start from baby step 1. Fun starts small, like a nice coffee or a movie, and gets bigger as you progress. Investing begins at baby step 4. These 3 uses are the ultimate purpose of financial freedom.
Now, reaching wealth isn't about finding a false sense of security in money itself. As Proverbs 10.15 wisely says, a rich man's wealth can become his walled city, isolating him rather than freeing him.
It can be a trap. The author warns against affluenza, a malady that affects some of the affluent and their children, where they desperately seek happiness and fulfillment in consuming of stuff, often ending up depressed and even suicidal.
Stuff doesn't equal happiness.
The stark truth is, he who dies with the most toys is still dead. Wealth is not the answer to happiness or spiritual maturity. It simply amplifies who you already are.
It's a paradox, isn't it? Wealth will make you more of what you are.
Exactly. If you are already a difficult person, wealth might empower you to become king of the jerks. If you are generous at heart, wealth allows you to become most generous. If you are kind, wealth enables you to show kindness immeasurably. If you carry guilt, wealth can unfortunately magnify that guilt for life.
Magnifies who you are. Interesting.
The author recounts being tough on our kids when they were young regarding work, saving, giving, and spending issues, because he understood that wealth will either ruin their lives or become a tool for great good. It's about instilling the right character and values alongside the financial habits.
And finally, it's crucial to understand that it's the love of money, not money itself, that is the root of all kinds of evil. Many biblical and historical figures were wealthy and used their wealth for good.
Right. Money is a tool. Dallas Willard eloquently said, "To use riches is to cause them to be consumed. To trust in riches is to count upon them for things they cannot provide. But to possess riches is to have the right to say how they will or will not be used."
Possess, not trust in.
The argument is, if wealth is inherently spiritually bad, then good people can't have it, leaving it to the pornographer, the drug dealer, or the pimp. Instead, it is the duty of the good people to get wealth to keep it from the bad people, because good people will do good with it, transforming lives and communities.
So as you can see, the Total Money Makeover is more than just a discussion on money issues. It makes you face the man or woman in the mirror, requiring you to address emotional, relational, physical, and even spiritual aspects of our lives. The truly wealthy, truly fulfilled people are those who embraced a total life makeover.
It's holistic. And remember, Jeremiah 29.11, God has a plan for your life, and that plan isn't to harm you. It is a plan for your future to give you hope. So please push that pedal one more time. Switch back if you have to. Failure is not an option. Push, push. I promise. At the top of the hill is a glorious ride down. Take that ride with us.
And that wraps up our deep dive into financial transformation. We've journeyed from understanding common money myths, debunking dangerous lies, confronting psychological hurdles like denial and the subtle pressures of keeping up with the Joneses.
Tackled a lot.
Then, most importantly, we've walked through the proven baby steps to financial freedom. From saving that first $1,000 to crushing debt with gazelle intensity, fully funding your emergency buffer, investing wisely for retirement and college, and ultimately paying off your home. It's a monumental, life-changing journey.
Yes, and ultimately, this isn't just about accumulating money or checking off financial boxes. It's about a total life makeover, leading to profound freedom, genuine joy, and the incredible ability to live and give like never before. It's about regaining control of your most powerful wealth-building tool, your income, and directing it toward your true priorities.
We encourage you, our listener, to take action starting today to apply these lessons in your daily life. Imagine, if you commit to this plan, the incredible ripple effect of financial freedom, not just on your immediate life, but on your children and even your grandchildren. Think of the legacy of generosity, peace, and opportunity you could create for generations to come. It all starts with that first step.